Hey, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Turning Point Training and Development. I am Mary Ricketts, and welcome to our podcast, Scale Up and Level Up. I have to tell you, I have had so many great conversations with clients, with peers, with people in my John Maxwell groups. It has been phenomenal. There is something that has been a common thread, and that's what I want to talk to us about today. Finding your personal strength when it gets tough. Or as my father would say, when all hell breaks loose, when things start hitting the fan, we've got to deal with some things. And I want to share with you, it'll be about nine ideas, tips that we can really start using to tap into how do I do it. It's great for people to tell you, you need to tap into your personal strength when it gets tough, but how do I do that? So I want to talk about how to do that today, because experiencing challenging phases in our life, or as I'll call them, seasons in our life, can really test you. It can test your grit. It can test your resilience. It can test your patience. It'll test your endurance. And when you encounter those bumps in the road, those potholes, or I'll call them sucker punches, the question that you have to ask yourself is, how do you react? How did you react the last time you hit that bump in the road, the last time you had that sucker punch? How did you react? And sometimes we have to be honest. Would I be pleased with how I did that? Are you able to deal effectively with the challenges when they hit you without going to pieces, without flipping out, without losing your character? How do you deal with it effectively? Because we all deal with it in some way, but we're going to touch on dealing with it effectively. Because could you use just a little bit of help in finding your inner strength? And that's what I want to help you with today. So I have some ideas that I want you to try, so that you can really tap into your personal reserves whenever the going gets tough. We're going to hit probably 9 of them. So here's the first one I want you to think about. Take some time to really think about the situation. Okay. There's nothing more challenging than someone not being realistic and honest about what the reality is. If it's a dilemma, it's a dilemma. What do you see as the real issue? So this is when we want to really be laser focused, take the blinders off a little bit. And sometimes you have to do what I call, take a helicopter view about what is really going on. And then here's the next question. Oh, this one's a tough one sometimes. But are you making a mountain out of a molehill? Is it really that big of a deal? Is everything, a level 10 with you? Is every situation, super dramatic every time something happens? I remember my daughter, who is 30 years old, I'm going to tell it. She I was flipping out over something that really was not that important. And she literally said to me one time, she said, "Why is it always got to be a situation with you?" And I was like, "Oh, did I really do that?" Yes, we do. Guess what? If we're doing it at home, we are probably doing it at the office. And guess what? Vice versa. So the question is, how can you focus your efforts on the current situation that's troubling you? How can you really focus so that you can get a positive outcome based on what's going on? So a lot to think about just in unpacking that. Let's unpack number 2. Acknowledge your concerns and your fears about this situation that is eating you up. This is not the time where you have to bottle in everything, but you have to acknowledge that for yourself. You've got to acknowledge your fears about the situation that is really troubling you and what's bothering you, what's eating you up. Before you can show some resilience and some grit to move forward, it's really important to recognize any fears that we have bearing on that current situation or circumstance. If you ignore them, you will only serve to thwart yourself from confronting that situation. This is almost kind of like the situation in the book, Eat That Frog. We got to deal with it. We have to deal with it. And and dealing with the tough things can be tough, but we can do it even if we're afraid to do it. We can do it afraid, and that's what we're going to have to do. Let's unpack number three. Number three is consider every option. Writing down your options for overcoming the challenge or the situation will really help you see the situation from multiple angles, from multiple angles. This is where that helicopter view is really important. Think about when the helicopter for the news comes on and there's a traffic jam, but from the helicopter view, if he's up high enough and there's a wide enough angle, you can see different options that you may not be able to see if you're in the middle of the accident. If you're in the middle of the traffic jam, it's tough to see what your other options are to get out of the mess. And that's what we have to do. We have to consider the other options. Take a helicopter view of the situation. This is when just do some old school brainstorming. Brainstorm as many possible solutions as you can, and that gives you a great start to finding which one may actually work out best. And then here's the other thing, be open-minded. Sometimes you have to remind yourself not to automatically screen out possible situations to a really sticky, troubling, traffic jam situation, because every viable possibility has to be considered. You want to at least have it laid out on a piece of paper, get your whiteboard. Here's the situation in the middle, and branch it out. It's a brainstorming session just like you would do with a client. This is what you want to do it yourself, and consider every possible situation. When you do that, it will really help you indicate the fact that you have the resilience and the grit to succeed and overcome whatever this obstacle is that is facing you. Let's unpack number four. Approach the challenge with positivity. It may sound really oversimplified, but you can either approach that stumbling block, that pothole, thinking, you know what, I don't think I can get out of this, or, the pothole's too deep, it's just like the last one, I'm not going to be able to survive it. Or you can think of it this way: I'm going to do my best to make a way through this situation. I'm going to do my best to figure out a way to get out of this mess, to get out of this challenge, out of this crisis, because taking a positive outlook will compel you to move forward through the crisis. Here's the next piece I want to leave on number four. Be optimistic. This is not the time you really want to be pessimistic. You want to be optimistic. Why? Because there are options. There might be 10, there might be 3, but you've got to unpack them so that you can figure out, without being super emotional about it. This is when you really want to take some time to say, okay, what are all the possible options and that I can get out of this situation or deal with this crisis and this challenge? And then let's try and figure out which one is going to be best. Let's unpack number 5. Avoid looking too far ahead. Looking too far ahead can cause some challenges because you focus on what's going on in the moment. That's where you want to be. You want to focus on what's going on in the moment. And sometimes it really helps to make it through 1 hour at a time and not think too far down the road. So concentrate your time and your energy on what you can do in the here and now, in that situation and in that crisis. There will be time to think about, 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, and 3 years from now. You'll have time to do that. Here's another one. It's okay to pray. Draw from your faith, whatever your faith is, draw from your religious faith to help you through. Spirituality regularly assists millions of people to live consistently healthy, happy, productive, and I won't say stress-free, but maybe stress-less lives. And perhaps finding that for you can help you bring that inner strength out that you desire. It's okay to do that. And it's okay to talk about it too. Let's unpack number 7. Seek emotional support from the people that you love. Any troubling event is easier to navigate through when you feel that you have love and support from someone that's close to you, someone that's close to you that you trust and that you have a good relationship with. And I want to put a caveat on that. It may not always be a relative. It may not be your parents, it may not be your siblings, it may not be a relative, but you really want to think about who really is that good emotional support for you, that loves you unconditionally, and that you can be transparent, open, and honest with. It can be so key because when you feel that love and support from someone close to you, your resilience that might be sitting in reserve is able to come out by letting someone else help you, whether it is a friend or a family member. That can really help that resilience that's probably really sitting there inside of you, and it could be sitting deep and dormant, but that's okay. We're going to bring it out. Although it might be difficult for you to reach out and say, I'm struggling, look at it this way: your loved ones will feel better if you give them the opportunity to be there for you. Accept the loving and supportive care that your friends and family are so willing to provide for you. It's on the opposite end of that, it can be a little frustrating to hear that, a friend of mine or a family member was going through but didn't reach out to me. And to be honest, sometimes that hurts my feelings because I'm like, I'm here for you, you know. But here's the thing: you want that person to be there for you without being judgmental, without being judgmental. Okay. And you will likely have a chance in the future to do that for someone else. So think about that as well. Think about how you want someone to respond to you, and then think about how you could do that for someone else in the future. All right, here's a number one. This, we'll call this one number 8. Soothe your spirit. What calms you down makes you feel peace and brings you simple joy. What is that? When you are on a 10, and it's not a good 10, and you need to bring it down to a 7, you need to know what is it that will calm you down, that will bring you back to feeling peaceful and joyful and happy and excited and just relax. You've got to take time to participate in some of your favorite activities. What is it, that thing that you love to do to soothe your emotions when you feel like your emotions are out of whack? When you feel like you have gone to, a whole nother level, especially especially when you have people say to you, what is going on with you? Then you know. And here's the thing: sometimes we know it without anyone saying anything. We may just be so busy that we're not taking time to deal with it. And here's the thing: for those of you that are entrepreneurs and you're the boss of the organization, you're the leader of your team sees it. Your team sees it. They may not say anything to you, but they see it. So taking a walk around your office building, around your office floor, going to go exercise. If you have an exercise gym, in your building, at your office, or if you're working from home, you know, go do something, you know, take time to, and I'm going to tell you one of mine, I don't mind sharing. I love to color. So I will print off an adult, coloring page. I like doing the medallions. You all should see my stash that I have of colored pencils and markers and gel pens, depending on my mood, because when I feel myself out of whack and I feel myself, getting to that place where I'm not being productive, I need to take a few minutes. And I may not sit there and do the whole thing because it'll take me a while, but it's okay to have that. And it's okay to say, you know what, I need about 30 minutes, and go calm yourself, because if you're in the office, people want you to get calm. Okay. Here's the last one I want to share with you. Embrace your strength. Remember that your strength has pulled you through many crises in the past. You've got a track record of coming out of other difficult situations. You have a track record of coming out of a previous crisis. It might have been a while, You may not have come out it just the way you thought you should, but you've got a track record where you've done it in the past. So have confidence in yourself that it can continue to, to bolster you and build you up so that you can get through the next one. Because guess what? There's going to be a next one. So let me share this with you because life can be very exhilarating, very interesting, and challenging all at the same time. When you encounter a block in your path, when you hit that stumbling block or that big pothole, allow your resilience to shine through, because the strategies that I share with you, those 9 ideas, can help you draw from your inner strength to live a meaningful, enriched life, no matter what type of challenge that you've encountered. So I'm going to close out with this. I'm Mary Ricketts, Turning Point Training and Development. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this in its entirety. If this helped you even just a little bit, if you were able to pull out 1 out of the 9 or 2 out of the 9, but if at least one of them made an impact for you, share this with someone. And not just the person that you think probably really, really needs this right now, send it to them, but someone that you think is doing great and fine, because guess what? They're going to have a moment one day too. If you are really looking to take everything to the next level, message us, email us, take a look at our Facebook group, join our newsletter. We want to impact lives across the globe. I'm Mary Ricketts, Turning Point Training and Development. Don't forget to share us. We'll talk to you soon.